You didn't see them at first. That was the point. They never appeared when you were paying attention. They never showed up when you were looking directly at them. They existed in the space between moments. You noticed it while walking home one evening, a reflection in a shop window, a shape behind you. You turned. Nothing. You kept walking. The feeling stayed. Not fear. Awareness. You saw it again the next day. In the corner of your vision, at the far end of a hallway, standing where no one should be. The moment you focused, gone. You told yourself it was peripheral vision, light distortion, fatigue. The excuses were comforting until they stopped working. You began testing it. You stared straight ahead and walked faster. You caught movement beside you, not running, not hiding, just appearing. You turned your head slowly. Nothing. But when you looked away again, they were closer, always closer, never fully visible, never absent either. You noticed patterns. They didn't appear in mirrors. They didn't show up in photos. They didn't exist on camera, only in your awareness, only when you weren't looking. Crowded places made it worse. Subway platforms, office corridors, supermarkets. Too many blind spots. You'd feel it. Someone standing behind you, close enough to matter. You turned, empty space. But the feeling didn't disappear. It lingered. As if something had just stepped aside. You stopped reacting. You pretended not to notice. That's when things escalated. They began staying longer. Not long enough to be seen. Long enough to be felt. You sensed their posture, upright, still, waiting. You tried to describe it to someone. They smiled politely, said you were stressed. You stopped talking about it. Some things lose power when spoken, others gain it. You researched, late nights, forums, obscure threads. You found fragments, stories that didn't quite align, but echoed. People describing shapes that vanished when noticed, figures that existed only when ignored. One phrase kept repeating, "They don't like being observed." That bothered you because it implied intent. You noticed they avoided direct attention. If you stared too long at a spot, nothing happened. But if you relaxed your focus, movement, they respected awareness, not vision. You experimented. You stood in a dark room. You focused on your breathing. You allowed your eyes to soften. Something shifted. The air felt heavier, closer. You resisted the urge to look. Your instincts screamed. But you stayed still. You felt presence, not hostile, not friendly, intentional. You blinked. It stepped back. You turned. Nothing. But your heart was racing. You realized something important then. They weren't appearing. They were already there. Your attention was the barrier. As long as you focused, they stayed out of phase, out of alignment. But when your awareness drifted, they overlapped with you. You noticed how tired you'd become. Constantly alert, always checking corners, always turning. They exploited exhaustion. Late nights were dangerous. Dim lighting made it easier for them. Your peripheral vision widened, your focus weakened. They came closer. You felt breath once, not on your skin, in your perception. You stopped walking at night. You avoided empty spaces. But they adapted. They appeared indoors, at home, standing just outside doorways, at the edge of rooms, never crossing fully into view. You woke up at night feeling watched, not stared at, waited for. You refused to look. You stared at the ceiling. You felt movement, a shift near the bed. The floor creaked. You stayed still. You understood the rules now. Looking directly ended it. Acknowledging it invited it. You noticed something else. They never touched anything. No footprints. No sounds. They didn't interact with objects, only with attention. You wondered how long they'd been there, before you noticed, before anyone noticed. You realized most people don't look. They glance, they assume, they dismiss. That made them safe. You weren't safe anymore. You had learned the pattern. Patterns demand consequences. One night, you decided to test something dangerous. You stood in a large, empty room, lights low. You relaxed your focus completely. You allowed your awareness to drift. You didn't look, you waited. The room changed, not visually, spatially. You felt surrounded, not crowded, acknowledged. They stood in places that made sense to them, not to you. You felt them orient towards you, as if your awareness had weight, as if it pulled them closer. You whispered, "Why?" The room didn't answer, but something shifted. You felt recognition. They weren't hiding from you. They were avoiding fixation. Observation locked them out. They existed in ambiguity, in uncertainty, in the edges. They thrived where attention thinned. You understood why cameras never caught them, why mirrors failed, why proof never existed. Proof requires focus. They require neglect. You realize something terrifying. They appear more often now because people are distracted. Phones, screens, multitasking. No one fully looks anymore. Everyone's awareness is fragmented. And in that fragmentation, there is space, room. You felt pity then for everyone else. Because once you notice them, you can't unnotice them. You manage them. You accommodate them. You learn to live alongside. You avoid letting your focus slip too far. You sleep with lights on. You avoid long silences. You keep something playing in the background. Sound anchors attention. Silence invites overlap. You've learned to survive. But sometimes, when you're tired, when your mind drifts, you feel them again. Closer than before. Patient. Waiting for you to stop looking.